Well, hello, Joseph.
Hi.
Welcome to the Liberty Hotel. And you do realize you're in detention here, right?
Yeah, this is pretty cool. I just learned this is an old prison. That's pretty amazing.
Yeah. So you could have filmed your film right here.
Yeah, I could have.
Michael Mills directed Beginners and has a rock and roll background, did Yoko Ono videos. I think it's great that music video directors are now doing long form. Do you take some of your techniques from that, or do you totally separate when you do a film?
No, I completely embrace what I've learned over the last 20 years doing music videos. I don't like hide that. I actually proudly display it in this movie.
And for the youth of today, are you thinking specifically of a certain market when you write?
Yeah, I mean, I think the movie plays in two levels, but the first level that it needs to play for is the actual high school students I'm making the movie for. High school to college age, so say 18 to 25 is a good demographic for the movie. It's made fast, it's made for a very short attention span, and it's made for people that can multitask. So that's why the movie is so complex in its visual style. It's a visual style that I'm used to, and a visual style hopefully that kids understand. And then for people over 30, it's going to be like whether you have a young heart or not. You know, you got a young heart, you're going to love this movie. If you don't, it's gonna be the worst nightmare you've ever had.
Well, when I was growing up, of course, it was Rock and Roll High School. I was an adult when Rock and Roll High School came out.
Right.
But, and then we lived through songs like Van Halen's Hot for Teacher.
Oh, yeah.
And Alice Cooper's quintessential School's Out.
Uh-huh.
But these were different times for different people. And I felt that like Rock and Roll High School talked down to me as a viewer. How do you escape that when you're behind the lens?
Well, I think the biggest thing is that we took a long time on the script. As you know, the good news about being a music video director is that even though I'm older than the people I'm writing this for, I'm constantly in tune with what's going on in pop culture because of the nature of my job. It's what I have to do. So there's that. Hopefully there's an authenticity to the way it's structured and made. And the other thing is that I casted it with real 18-year-olds, real people that age. It's not like the Hollywood thing where you take a 30-year-old, pretend to be 17 or 18. These are like real kids, and I wanted a performance out of them that felt real too. Like they're very natural, and say it in a way that they believe it, and cast real actors that believe these lines. And I think that once you have that, you're not like making them act in an awkward way or pretending to be something they're not. Like hopefully these relationships on screen are very authentic.
Professional reality TV, where it's believable because these people are of that genre. Now, you two, the Chemical Brothers, very impressive resume. Britney Spears, Lady Gaga. When they got wind that you're doing a second movie after Torque, anyone say, "Hey, I want to be in that"?
Well, nobody offered up saying, "Hey, I got to be in it." No one famous. Although there is one interesting cameo in there if you look very closely. Moby wears a wig and appears as Mr. Wiki in there for just a split second.
That's great. Moby's he's an amazing character.
Oh, and a friend of mine, Dom Moynihan, who played Charlie on Lost, and he's in Lord of the Rings. He has a cameo as a band member at one moment too. So those are the two cameos in the movie.
Don Moynihan.
Dominic Moynihan.
Yeah. No relation to Dan Moynihan of Porky's.
No.
Did you see the Porky's movies?
I did as a kid, in a way that I shouldn't have as a kid, but I did see them.
It's my era, so I still am enamored of them. 20 years from now, can the fans of this movie look back and it will stay fresh like Porky's does too?
I think this movie is intentionally made to have a time stamp on it because it's very specifically about now in terms of fashion and music and the language. In 5 years from now, it will definitely be dated, and people will go, look at the ridiculous things they're saying and look at the ridiculous things they're listening to. In 20 years, it will be retro.
But the music videos sometimes aren't dated because sometimes the artist gets larger than life, and then they become a timestamp, almost burned into the memory.
Right.
It's a different world. Do you co-write the music videos, or write them?
I write the music videos. Most music videos are generally written by me and structured, and pretty much my show. I mean, I will collaborate with them because no musician spends $1 million without having some say. But by the time they spend that amount of money on a director like me, they generally want a director that knows what he's doing.
It's been 8 or 9 years since Torque. How long has Detention been percolating?
Detention took 5 years to make. It took 3 years to write with my co-writer Mark Palermo. A year of that was just structuring it out. A year was writing it. And a year was revising it. It took 2 months to shoot, and about another year to release. It's about 5 years.
2 months to shoot is good. Did you have to do a lot of editing?
Well, I edit as I shoot. I literally edit after every take. It goes straight off the camera into a laptop. I run to the laptop, I chop it, see if I like it, and then go to the next take.
Joseph, that's fascinating.
So by the time the movie was done, 3 days later I had a rough cut, pretty much.
Nice.
With sound effects and everything like that. The rough cut came in at about, I'd say 95 minutes, and then I whittled that down to 88 minutes and added credits back in, so it's a 93-minute film.
Oh, so there's not a lot for the director's cut.
No, every scene's in the movie, it just got finessed.
So it almost sounds like vignettes, almost like music videos that you splice together in a way.
Kind of. I mean, I'd like to think that there's more structural elements in the movie than vignettes, but on a certain level, when you think about beats and scenes, they are essentially their own entities that you hopefully interrelate them as you build the entire movie.
So, as you're spending the years putting this movie together, how were you thinking of the soundtrack when you're writing the script? Do you get ideas for songs and say no later, and then switch?
No, I kind of kept an open mind about what the music would be like. I didn't even know as I wrote it what exactly the visual style was going to be. I was just literally thinking in terms of the actual cinematic ideas of the movie. It was almost like a literary experience first, and then as I started prepping it out, that's when I constructed everything to be the movie experience.
Will there be a soundtrack album?
I don't know.
Oh, okay.
I hope so.
There's no book to the movie.
There's no book to the movie. I think it would be a really strange book to read.
These are my usual things. In your is there anything in your childhood that might have inspired scenes in Detention?
Oh yeah, I mean, tons of things happen in Detention that are based on both Palermo and my life. Like the scene where she dresses up at a costume party and she's the only one dressed in a costume party. There was a costume party where the guy said, "Hey, dress up in a costume party and everyone's going to be there." And I dressed up as Kim Jong-il, and I was the only person there dressed up. So I was a North Korean dictator and the only person in costume the whole night.
That's wow. And that was in your life.
That was in my life.
Can we ask? No, I won't ask what year. But okay, so you spent these years. How long did working on Detention? How long did Torque take, and how long were you working on it before its release?
Well, Torque took Torque was like a 76-day shooting schedule. That was done in 2002. And Detention was a 52-day shooting schedule, so it wasn't that far apart from each other. But I made Torque 8 years ago before Detention, and it was just a much harder experience because I'm just not used to like working with people and in a studio telling me what to do and overlooking every single thing I do. I'm used to on music videos just doing whatever I want. Now I've moved on to commercials where everything is looked over even more fine-tuned than a movie. So now I'm used to that process. I'm a much better studio filmmaker than I ever was. But on the flip side, Detention was all my own cash, so I get to do whatever I wanted.
Right.
So I never got to use that muscle that I developed.
And that's great. So you produced your own movie. So no one, even the distributor, breathed down your neck.
No, I mean I did take loans out, personal loans from people, but I have to pay those back. So it's a combination of my money and loans. And if this film doesn't do well, I'm working for the next couple of years just paying off those loans.
I'm sure it'll do well. There's a youth market out there that just is rabid for really fun stuff. And people want to have a good time in this day and age. I think it's a time of gas prices. We need escapism. But the cast, how did you go about picking the cast? I know you said that they were professionals at 18 years old.
Yeah.
But each individual.
I decided to make the movie literally over a weekend. Like, I decided I was going to spend my own money on it. I was in Manchester, England. I flew back on Sunday. On Monday morning, I started prepping the movie. A month and a half later, I started shooting the movie. So the entire movie was prepped, location scouted, and casted within that month and a half. One of the biggest names I had in it was Josh Ferguson, who's in PETA in the Hunger Games. But he wasn't now when I casted him. I had a meeting with him, and he just happened to like the script. A lot of the youth cast just really responded to the script, and Dane Cook, who's in it, responded to the script. So a lot of it just came from the fact that people love the script.
Years ago, these kind of movies would go on the driving screen back in the day. Now you've got everything going to the computer. Did you think of that when you were making the movie? It's going to go from the big screen to the computer.
Well, that's one of the reasons why I made the movie the way I did, because I believe in this day and age, kids tend to watch multiple browsers. Like, they might watch a movie on one screen and then Skype in the other. But if they're into Detention, the movie moves so fast and demands so much of your attention that you have to just pay attention to the movie or you'll be completely lost. So the amount of visual information that's going on in Detention is structured in a way that hopefully it's a compelling reason why you should put down your phone, close your browser, and just watch the movie. And ultimately, it doesn't really matter whether you watch it on a screen or television or on your iPhone or whatever. It should be the same experience ultimately. Mm-hmm. Though I think the best way to see it is in the theater, because those compositions look really great up on screen with the sound flying around your head and hearing other people laugh.
Now, I know that question I was asking you about the book authors that I interview and the film directors. We get very enamored of the work you people do. Man, that question is just like it's like, don't ask him that question. We get very enamored of the work you people do. Do the video film go? The people who watch videos. Back when MTV and we had V68 here in Boston, I used to collect those videos because you work with Aerosmith, and I know those guys. The sons of Joe Perry are going to be on the show in a few weeks.
Oh, nice.
Little Anthony Perry was on my knee at Thanksgiving when he was 3 months old. So now I'll see him when he's like 25. It's kind of a weird experience. But the Aerosmith people, we in Boston are rabid for Aerosmith. Mm-hmm. Even if you know them, you want to know, like, oh wow, where was this video done? Do you find that there are fans of the videos in the same way that we're fans of movies after movies come out?
Oh yeah, I mean, there's definitely people that are real video aficionados. People that are just real hardcore fans. I mean, like there's sort of a modern generation of music listener that really follow their artists by their music videos. Like, they just cannot wait to see the next piece of story being told through a music video in terms of what to wear, how to dance, how to act, how to talk. It is a very, very specific way of viewing the world in terms of pop. And I tend to run into a lot of these people, and they're great. Like, I think it's a fantastic way of validating my job.
That is great. I'm very impressed, because back in the day we were the video nerds. So we had the 3/4 inches, and we had, oh good, I got a Lou Reed 3/4 inch,
Yeah.
Oh my God. And I'm thinking, you could have a whole video channel just playing the videos that don't get played on MTV.
Yeah.
Because there were so many budgets going out. A band called the Joneses from Boston made a video. It was a third of their Atlantic budget, and it never really hit.
Right.
So you could have had, in the day, you could have had a whole channel of these unknown videos. But I thought we were the exception. We were the nerds. You're saying it's now more mainstream, which I think is a good thing.
It's a bit more mainstream. I would say that the top end of that mainstream of the people that are really hardcore into it, I mean, they're not as much, but I think more people are aware of videos than not. It's really funny because MTV doesn't really play videos anymore, and the budgets have dropped out on videos because of the way the industry is, with people downloading everything. And
Mm-hmm.
there's very little incentive for people to put a lot of money into videos because they don't really sell records anymore. They don't sell albums. They sell by the single.
Right.
So it's very hard to justify a video these days, but it's still, the funny thing is that people watch them more than ever. Like, if you look at YouTube, all the highest views are videos, but people don't know how to pay for them yet.
Which was my next question. The YouTube phenomenon makes it available to get a Joseph Kahn video here, Michael Mills video there, and actually put them in your collection file or your little. They actually give you spaces where you can keep your favorites. That's a very cool thing. So, as a youth, when was the first time you picked up a camera?
The first time I picked up a camera, the first time I picked up a camera was actually a still camera, and it was a Kodak Discman from my dad. And I used to take pictures of all my toys and tell little stories with them and do that through that. But then my dad one day, being a Korean guy, they love golf, bought a video camera and made me film his golf game so he could figure out his swing. But then while I was bored and he was out golfing, I would sit there at the clubhouse and have these salt and pepper shakers, and I would just click on and off and then move these things around and animate them. And that was the start of my special effects career. And that was when I was probably 12 years old.
Oh, that is so cool. Did you find that there was an audiovisual class in school?
No, they didn't have that when I was growing up in the 80s. That didn't happen until many years later, and audio-video equipment was very, very expensive back in the day. So the one thing it did teach me is that because I didn't have editing equipment, when I made like videos with my friends, I would roll the camera, have them say a line, cut, then turn the camera, roll the camera, have them say a line, cut, and then you would play it all back, and that would be the film. So it was all done in camera, and that taught me how to sequence images in advance.
Did you keep a lot of the old footage, like your father golfing?
Not my father golfing, but I have quite a few of my old high school things that I did.
Did your father keep the videos? I think it's so cool that you were doing that, and that it's the genesis of...
I'm pretty sure a lot of that stuff is lost now on VHS and VHS-C.
And you ever stumble upon something old that you like and say, wow, there's a great idea I might use in this project?
Yeah, I mean, there's ideas that are always percolating, and a file of things and inspirations that I'm waiting to come up in different places, and it always comes in useful because I do music videos and commercials. So there's always like a new idea that I haven't done, and I just collect them all the time, actually.
If I can't ask this question, you don't have to answer it, but you were telling me how the commercial people are getting very specific. There were commercials in the old day like "Where's the Beef?" that were so funny. They seem to go off the air very quickly because people seem to be more interested in the video than the product. Are they careful for you not to make it too interesting for us?
Well, they can never make it not too interesting, but they do want you to stay on message on commercials.
So, but you still can find a very interesting face and an interesting message and kind of blend it and make it creative.
Yeah, I mean, commercials are an extension of storytelling in that they're very focused messages. So the one thing you can learn as a commercial director is to, within that 30 seconds, figure out what the point is and work very hard in constructing within, say, 13, 14 edits, the point of that thing. And that helps you focus on a very micro level how to gauge beats and scenes. So it's a very useful filmmaking tool.
I love watching videos. I love watching movies. Commercials, I flip to another channel.
Right.
Is there a formula to get me to stop from flipping?
Yeah, it has to be targeted at the right audience.
Mm-hmm.
Like, for instance, if you're having a pantyhose commercial, unless you like pantyhose, I don't know if you do, you're probably going to flip, right? And then, and if you do like pantyhose, the right demographic at the right time, you've got to have something compelling about it that makes you want to watch it, a need that gets answered at the end of the commercial.
So, how long have you been into the promotional tour now? And how many...
This is my first day of my first city of the entire promotional tour.
Are you going to go across the country?
I'm going to go as many places as I can.
Okay, so my question here is, I know people are immersed in YouTube and television. Do you think that people in different necks of the country are going to respond differently to Detention? Yeah,
I believe that Detention is made very specifically for a very, very specific audience. So it just depends on who comes in. It's not made for everybody. I fully admit that. You have to have a certain pop IQ, you have to have a certain currency, and you have to have a certain love for that stuff. And a sense of humor too. Like, for instance, if you completely hated Torque, you'll probably completely hate Detention. Although I heard some people kind of like it still. Yeah, it depends on, whether you like pop or not. If you love pop, you're gonna love this movie.
But there are kids in Canada and there are kids in Arkansas who have the same values.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Even though there's different geographics today, I think because of the internet, maybe they're more in tune.
Well, I feel like when I made Torque, the world was a little more bifurcated, mm-hmm. and it was like they hadn't really sort of like figured out like what other people like. But now, because of the internet, just a lot more people can respond to the same things at the same time, and they expect to. So I think Detention now plays to a bit wider audience than, say, when I was making Torque, which found its cult audience later, many, many years later. Hopefully Detention finds that audience a little sooner because there's more people talking to each other on social media.
It's true. As you're creating Detention, as you're going through the roughs, do ideas for the next movie and the next movie come into your head right away?
Yeah, I'm currently working on another movie right now. Like the screenplay is up and away. I've pretty much beated it out and structured it, and I've just got to start writing it.
Will you have a co-writer?
Yeah, same writer, Mark Palermo.
Now, why are you and Mark Palermo co-writing?
Because we're both really odd, strange people who understand each other.
How did that connection come about?
He was a film critic in Canada, and he contacted me because he was one of the few film critics that actually liked Torque. And we had a conversation. I happened to be in Canada at one point. I met him, and we just found out that we had so much in common. We were really good friends, and we decided we'd have to go write a movie together one day. And it took 3 years to do it, and another 2 to make it and pump it out. But here it is.
And he's writing another one.
Yeah, we've been working on that one for a little bit now too.
Siskel and Ebert. Didn't Ebert do Beyond the Valley of the Dolls? Or
He did. He should have continued that. That was a pretty good movie.
Russ Meyer.
Yeah.
So you remember the classics?
Absolutely. Russ Meyer is a great filmmaker.
I don't know how much time you have, but I would like to know your influences. Is Russ Meyer one of them?
Yeah, Russ Meyer is a big influence on Torque, actually.
Interesting. So a bingo.
Yeah. It's funny, like I discovered him in film school because my roommate was just really heavily into all his flicks, so I would just watch him with him. Spielberg is another big influence. Like I love the way that Spielberg moves his camera. Scorsese, Lynch, the Coens, Otomo, who did Akira. I love anime. I mean, there's just a big wide gamut of things. Video directors like Fincher and Romanek and Spike Jonze. Like filmmakers like Spike Lee and Oliver Stone. It's like I have such a wide gamut of people that I love. I just love filmmaking.
Spike Lee is another one with the vignettes, as I said, like Inside Man, one of my favorite movies. He has like a series of vignettes that kind of clip together, but it's fascinating to watch it. I just watch it over and over.
I also like what Spike Lee. I like the political aspect of his camera work, where he wants to tell you a message and he's going to pound you in the head getting there. I think that's very useful as a filmmaker to study that, to say that, okay, there's different ways of going about messages. There might be the Gus Van Sant way, there might be the Spike Lee way, there might be the overall Spielberg way, where it's more emotional and more staged. I mean, it's just, you have to take everything and make it part of your kung fu.
James Cameron just went to the deepest part of the earth. That is some kind of filmmaking that really adds to his breadth of experience.
And you know what I love about that? I love that he timed it a week before Titanic 3D comes out.
Thank you. That went right by me. You realize that the 100th anniversary of the Titanic is the 100th anniversary of Fenway Park here in Boston.
Oh, really?
So this grand old ballpark turns 100 on the same day. Talk about getting overshadowed by something, you know?
Yeah, we like to celebrate the disaster over the victory, don't we?
Yeah, because they're selling, they sell pieces of Fenway Park, just as they sell pieces of Boston Garden. Maybe they'll be selling pieces of the detention set.
Right.
Do you, since you produced the movie, are there any mementos from the movie you felt, I want this collectible from my movie?
I've got all the clothing, I got everything in storage. Maybe one day I'll just start selling them, when I'm dead broke.
Does Detention lend itself to a Detention 2?
We actually have an idea for a Detention 2, but I don't know, maybe Josh is so big now, like we'd never be able to get him again, so that might put the damper on this very specific idea we have.
Well, there was Mannequin 1 and Mannequin 2, and,
yeah.
boy, it's just been really fun picking your brain about all this stuff. Where's your next stop on the tour?
Los Angeles.
Oh, so you're going out to the other side of the world.
Going back to Los Angeles, then I gotta fly all the way back to Miami. So this.
Well, that sounds like a lot of fun, though, because you'll get ideas on the plane.
Oh yeah, I'll read my iPad.
Do you ever take film just as you're going around and say, I can add this to something?
What do you mean?
As you're flying, or as you're in a city like Boston, do you ever just say, well, this is legit, I can take this spot?
Well, I'm always looking for locations and things like that. Like this looks like a great location for a movie one day. So like I'm storing things away, or people, or even you, like the way you're dressed and the way you look and the way you talk, it'll be a memory now that I store for a character.
He's an odd man. I gotta remember that suit and put it on Josh.
He's pretty cool, this guy.
I appreciate your time so much, Joseph. I wish you a lot of luck with Detention, and we're gonna let you out of detention now. Could you just say this is Joseph Kahn on Visual Radio?
This is Joseph Kahn on Visual Radio.
Great luck with Detention, man.
Thank you.